In this episode of Events Demystified Podcast, host 𝐂𝐚𝐩𝐭𝐞𝐫𝐬 celebrates the podcast's 5-year anniversary. Starting in July 2019, the podcast aimed to demystify the world of event AV production and technology, covering topics such as sound, lighting, and video. 𝐂𝐚𝐸 reflects on her journey, sharing lessons learned from the industry and introducing the Fit for Events framework and the Fit Mindful Mavens initiative. She emphasizes the podcast's focus on storytelling and featuring thought leaders from diverse fields within event planning and production industry. 𝐂𝐚𝐸 expresses gratitude to her team and loyal listeners, introduces the upcoming series Event About It, co-hosted with Megan Martin, and calls for event professionals to share their stories for future episodes. Don't forget to subscribe to the Events Demystified podcast on Spotify and YouTube for more actionable advice and insights from industry experts. Now, let's get started.
Welcome to Events Demystified Podcast, where we explore and demystify the world of in-person, virtual, hybrid event AV production and technology by sharing insightful tips, tricks and tactics to make your events a success. This podcast is brought to you by Tree Fan Events, a woman-owned boutique event production agency. And your host is 𝐂𝐚𝐸𝐭𝐞𝐫𝐬, a technical event planner and producer with almost 2 decades of hands-on technical experience in event production.
Welcome back to another episode of Events Demystified Podcast. I'm your host, 𝐂𝐚𝐸𝐭𝐞𝐫𝐬, and today is a very special episode because we are celebrating 5 incredible years of demystifying the world of events on air with you and our featured guest. I've started this podcast in July of 2019 with a desire to demystify AV. And why is it important for events? Why is sound and lighting and video important for events? What are the makings of good sound and the best practices for video, graphics, lighting for events? I've also wanted to bring to the forefront the importance of setting boundaries of work-life integration and staying fit for events. Those were all coming from lessons learned in the trenches, getting burned over and over again, which made me extremely focus on sharing actionable mental and physical fitness and well-being tips and strategies that are really tailored for event professionals, entrepreneurs, small business owners like myself. And that has really set us on the birth of our sister company, Fit Mindful Mavens, which you probably have come to learn more about. It's what this Fit for Events framework has birthed from as well. Now, my desire from the very beginning was for this podcast to be tactical, but in a storytelling type of way, and bring on thought leaders and great minds from the event industry and also from the event production front, from the technology and event planning and management world. I wanted to have a good range of voices that represent this industry, because events don't just happen in some kind of silo. There's a lot of experts behind the scenes that make events happen. So I also wanted this podcast to be produced at the highest production level and almost make it like an example of what a video podcast that is done digitally could sound like and look like. I've never really intended to monetize it, to be honest, because I wanted the freedom to decide whom I'm bringing on and what topics I'm talking about, and not be tied to any particular sponsorship. And let me tell you, over the years, I have been approached so many times by different stakeholders that wanted to have a stake in the podcast and wanted to offer a sponsorship or some kind of a promotion. And I've always had a hard time saying yes, because I would always go back to my original thought. Why did I start this podcast in the first place? Now, 5 years later, I feel like we've definitely accomplished a lot of our goals, and it's time to maybe make some new ones, especially as in our most recent 2 seasons, we've been diving deep into the world of AI and covering how it's been transforming our industry, our lives, our businesses. We've been exploring and demystifying how to use AI to enhance our productivity and our creativity, generate growth strategies, and also keep all of you loyal listeners at the forefront of what those technology changes, as well as in optimal fit for events shape for successful event planning and execution. This podcast, as you know, has been sponsored this entire time and brought to you by Trifan Events, a woman-owned boutique event production and technology agency that's been leading the charge in nowadays integrating technology, AI, data-driven strategy into event planning and production. All of that being said, first and foremost, I would like to thank my team. There's a team behind all this genius. Rita and Hamad, they've been putting consistent work behind the scenes in making this podcast what it is. And I wanted to really thank them for all the work that they've been doing. Without their help, I wouldn't be able to put on episodes every week, to be honest. Knowing my schedule, knowing my work, knowing all the things that I do aside from this one love project. I also want to extend my deepest gratitude to all of you listeners. If you've been with me from the very beginning, I can't even tell you how much that matters to me because you've seen me through many stages. You've seen me from the very beginning, from season 1 all the way to season 8. And I feel like probably you know me better than I know myself. And it's been a pleasure to serve you with content, with relevant content in this space. And I get messages from so many of you. And every time I get a message from a new listener, it really reminds me why I'm doing this, reminds me why all this time I've been consistent and why all this effort matters. So, that being said, whether you've been with us, like I said, from the very beginning, or maybe just recently you have discovered our podcast, your support has been really the driving force that is fueling us, the driving force behind this journey. So I want to just thank you and thank you for tuning in. Thank you for engaging with our content. Thank you for being part of our ever-growing community of women behind the scenes in events, as well as the Feed Mindful Mavens, and supporting Trifan events in the process as well. Over the past 5 years, I had the privilege of featuring some really amazing guests, experts, and have them share their expertise, their experiences, their stories, their insights. So I want to now take the time to thank all of our featured guests. And let me tell you, this is going to be a long list. So you're going to have to bear with me because I am going to name each one of them by name because they're worthy of this mention. And I made this list, thanks ChatGPT for helping me make this list in some kind of a alphabetical order. So we're going to start in alphabetical order and go all the way to the bottom of the list. And I want to thank each one of those that have been featured on the podcast throughout those 8 seasons and have added value to each one of those episodes. So that includes Adrian Segar, AJ Steinberg, Ali Robinson, Amy Guile, Andrew Ihorn, Andrew Robbie, Andrew Ibarra, Angel Marie Monachelli, Annie Yan, Anna Marie Aldinger, Annette Jukes, Anthony DeMario, Anthony Veit, Ashley Hawks, Bat Sanderford, Brandon Kumarasamy, Brent Berg, Brian Lehman, Brittany Shea Cobb, Bruce Rossard, Kenan Heckler, Carrie Smolensky, Channing Mueller, Claire Forestier, Cindy Cohn, Comfort Arthur, Courtney Stanley, Christy Code Red Nickel, Kurt Johnson, Don Berger, Danny Stefanik, David T. Stevens, Diana Nwosu, Amy Pumaranga, Erica Mauer, Eric Rosenberg, Erica Kulovitz, Faith Gladden, Frank Carlisi, Gianna Gaudini, Heather Sharp, Heidi Jacobson, Huang Nguyen, Ike 𝐂𝐚𝐩𝐭𝐞𝐫𝐬, Janice Cardinale, Jason Brown, Jason Moorman, James Stedman, Jasmine Brianna, Jeffrey Maza, Jen Barth, Jen Bello, Jen Salerno, John D'Adamo, John Pistotti, Jonna Lee Wells, Julius Solaris, Kellen Welch, Craig Kleeman, Lori Snyder Hockman, Lori Dooley Clark, Leanne Calderwood, Lindsay Moran, Logan Clements, Lori Mason, Lynn Edwards, Maggie Harker, Mahogany Jones, Marissa Colley, Marlene Robinson, Mark Woodworth, Masood Alibash, Matt Frank, Matt Swally, Megan Martin, my co-host for our next series, Event About It, Megan McCaleb, Megan Eli, Melissa Park, Melva LaJoy Legrand, Marianne Van Buren, Michelle Mickelson, Miguel Neves, Michael Lange, Nancy Zavada, Nick Aldinger, Reggie Johnson, Rumi Shikumira, Samantha Porter, Samantha Swaim, Sarah Solomon, Shenandoah Nicholson, Shay Wheat, Steve Mudd, Swiro Ho, Tahira and Dean, Tui Deep, Tim Blackton, Todd Campbell, Travis Johnson, Valerie Behet, Victoria Matei, Vikram Shalana, Will Curran, and Zach Krohn. There's been a lot of guests. All of them have contributed to making Events Demystified a rich and diverse resource for event professionals worldwide. Your stories and your insights have inspired and have educated our loyal listeners, and for that, we are profoundly grateful. I am profoundly grateful. As we celebrate these milestones, I'm thrilled to also share some exciting news about our future. Starting in July, we will be launching a brand new season titled Event About It. The series will be co-hosted for the very first time with a talented event professional, Megan Martin. She was part of episode 62, if you like to go back to learn a little bit more about Megan. But I'm super excited about this series because we are going to be unpacking some amazing war and hero stories from our community about event challenges and discuss what could have been done differently, discuss what we could have done differently. And for that, I have my friendly AI avatar, Mira, that looks like me, that doesn't really quite sound like me, which I know it trips some of you off. And she will tell you more about this new series.
Hey, friends of the Events Demystified podcast. We invite you to our brand new series, Event About It, a podcast series where we unpack the toughest event challenges as shared by our event community and discuss solutions and what we do differently. Do you have any glorious, successful stories or some event nightmares you'd like to vent about? Share them with us. Anonymously or not, we won't share more than you're comfortable with sharing. This season is also special because for the first time, we're going to have a co-host with us. Megan Martin will join us, and we're super excited about it. Subscribe on Spotify and YouTube to stay tuned to this one-of-a-kind season brought to you by Tree Fan Events, a woman-owned boutique agency leading the charge in integrating tech, AI, and data-driven strategies into event planning.
So as you heard, Event About It aims to be conversational, productive, entertaining, and captivating. We will be addressing real-world issues, discussing practical solutions, and exploring new ideas to push the boundaries of event planning and production. The season is really designed to engage not just our current audience, but also to attract the Gen Z listeners who are just stepping into the event industry with fresh perspectives. And now, for that, we need your help. We are calling for all of you event professionals to submit your hero stories or maybe your war stories for our upcoming seasons. We've already received some of those stories. We've already recorded some episodes, and we're going to also live stream 2 episodes in July as well. So we invite you to use the form in the episode notes, and or if you see this on some social channel or on LinkedIn, most likely is going to be posted in the comment section. So make sure that you use that form because we really, really want to hear from you. Share your stories with us. You can do that anonymously if you prefer. It's your decision, and we won't share more than you are comfortable with sharing. I want to make sure that you understand that and that is clear. And you might be featured. That story might be featured in one of our upcoming episodes that will be co-hosted with Megan Martin. As we embark on this new journey, I want to reiterate my gratitude to every single one of you. Your support, your feedback, enthusiasm, messages, all of that have been invaluable. And all I can say now that we've turned 5, here's to many more years of learning, of growing, of demystifying the world of events together. Thank you so much for being part of this journey. I am excited for what the future might bring. Stay tuned for Event About It as it's launching this July, very much next week. Don't forget to subscribe and follow the podcast on Spotify, on YouTube, so you don't miss any of the exciting new episodes that we're working on and are going to be coming out. Until then, I will repeat myself as I do every single episode. Keep creating unforgettable event experiences, and remember to always stay curious and open to new ideas. I'm 𝐂𝐚𝐻𝐿 Trifan, your host, and this is Events Demystified Podcast. See you on Event About It, launching next week.
Thank you for listening to the Events Demystified Podcast. If you enjoyed this podcast, please take a moment to review it, rate it, and share it with other event professionals that could benefit from it. Connect with us on social at Events Demystified Podcast. We would love to hear from you and what you're up to. If you'd like to learn more about Trifan Event Services and find out if we're a good fit in supporting your event, can we help your event be successful with a 20-minute free consultation? Link in the episode's notes. Thanks for tuning in.
Over the past 5 years, we've poured our hearts into the Events Demystified podcast, exploring the intersections of audiovisual technology, AI innovations, and the crucial role of mental and physical wellness in event production. We've also shined a light on the talented women working behind the scenes in AV. As we plan to deepen our impact and reach more listeners like you, we need your help to achieve this. Tune in to any Events Demystified episode on Spotify. Hit the follow button on Spotify to keep up with our latest episodes and updates. Review, rate, give us a 5-star rating on Spotify. Share, pass your favorite episode along to 2 friends who love crafting unforgettable events. By following these steps, you'll be entered to win a $50 Amex gift card. Join us, share your voice, and let's demystify event experiences together.